Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. It's the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, most people selling a home have got some very different ideas of the value of that home. Some believe that they should price it at the very top of the price range. Others want a quick sale, and others have no idea whatsoever. So, Barb Schlinker, you're the expert. How does a home seller price their home to negotiate the best price? And what should they do about low offers? Barb Schlinker.
Well, Richard, I think, to get the most money, you can't price in negotiating room. That will absolutely hurt you in the end. It's always good. And some people have this net number in their mind about, I need to net this much to make this work for whatever I'm doing on the other side. I wish it worked that way, but unfortunately, the market is the market, and the market's going to speak immediately if you didn't get that pricing right out of the gate. And it's hard to rely on those online Zestimates. Well, Zillow said my house is worth so and so, because first of all, they've never seen your home. They don't know how your home compares to other homes. They don't know if you have views. They don't know anything about it other than it's an asking price as compared to other homes. We had a listing recently that had multiple offers. So this home that we had in the mountains with nice views, house was kind of a mess. The plumbing didn't work. I mean, it really had a lot of problems, but they priced it very realistically. The seller did. And so it resulted in multiple offers in which it sold for well over asking price. Now, why is that happening? But the pretty homes are sitting on the market and they're slowly walking it down, and they don't get bidding wars because they're priced too high. They're looking backwards in the market, and that's essentially the problem. So when a home seller actually does get a low offer, they get offended. They get mad. They ignore it. They kind of get really frustrated. But you really don't know what their agent is telling them. Sometimes their agent is saying, hey, if the seller doesn't pay my full commission, then you got to pay it out of pocket. I'm sorry. And they're not really trained to negotiate that. They could go up in price to cover their fee. Have you ever thought of that? No. So it's just frustrating for me sometimes when I see these agents that are obviously focused on their commission. And that's too bad, because I think in the long run, it's going to burn them. Like whenever that consumer needs another real estate transaction, they're not going to call them. They're not going to get repeat referral business if they get in the way of the buyer getting the house. Or sometimes they will talk them out of the house. Well, it's not worth that much. And how do they know what it's worth? If the buyer wants the house, help them get the house. That's your job. But I think some people position their real estate business as, well, my value is defined as how much money I save the buyer or how much stuff I get from the seller. So they actually encourage their clients to make lowball offers. And, I've had buyers initiate it from me, and they're like, well, I want to make this offer. I said, okay. And it took, on that particular property, that buyer ended up buying that home. But what was interesting was that I think we made 4 different offers, and the agent was just, beside themselves, criticizing me and thinking I was behind it. But I wasn't. I was just, that's what the buyer wanted to pay. And we ended up finally reaching an agreement at one point. But initially, they ignored the buyer. The second round, they insulted and rejected the buyer. The third round, they allegedly got outbid, and then the agent forgot to put in the MLS that had an HOA, and that made the third buyer walk away. And then the fourth round, we finally got in there and put the deal together. And, I have one of the agents that's on my team, and she has her own business too. Her name is Jen. She's amazing. She's from China. I call her my sister from a different mother. So we're very close. She's really, really smart when it comes to money and negotiating. And she has this thing that she says that I think is really cute, about when you are in the throes of negotiating, just get done. Just get it done. If that's what they want, get it done. She leaves out the it and just says get done, which is really cute. But, help the buyer do what they want to do. And you have to have them look at it in different ways. The same with the seller. Well, I want this much money. I'm like, I know, but we don't have any other choices. This is the offer that we have on the table. Rather than, insulting them or, rejecting them summarily, negotiate with them. Okay, this is what I will accept. What will you accept? And tell them that and go from there. But a lot of people won't do it. They get very offended. And it's too bad. A lot of it goes back to the real estate industry. And I hate to say this, but there is no job description. There's no how to, especially when it comes to negotiating. And 71, this is a Zillow number. This was in 2025. Zillow said that 72% was the number of agents sold 0 homes, nothing, nada. Most of the time I'm talking to agents after business hours because they have other jobs. I can hear the restaurant in the background. And, I know typically when we price the home correctly, and they may not understand. So I'll see sometimes where we'll have a bidding war and they'll tell their buyer not to make their best offer, thinking that's the way you save the buyer money. And unfortunately, it ends up where that buyer doesn't get the house. This happened multiple times just in the past couple of months because they're not really paying attention to what's going on. But the real opinion of value is what the buyer is willing to pay. We use similar sales to support the price in order for the appraiser, if the buyer's getting a loan only, if they're paying cash, it doesn't matter. But if the appraiser agrees it's worth that much, then that's all we need to worry about for that purpose. But if the buyer is willing to pay a price, that's a good indication of what the value is. That's why I like using under contract sales as well. Now, similar sales should be apples to apples, like a ranch style floor plan with the basement against another one. But also I'm looking at what can a buyer get in that general price range. If we don't get that right, like if the buyer sees, oh, I can get a new home over here, or I can get a bigger home with this, or a newer home over there, you have to pay attention to what that buyer's current competition is when you're deciding on A, pricing, and B, negotiating. So here are some mistakes that most people make when they negotiate. First of all, if you get a low offer, take into consideration the market conditions. Now, just to go back to that stat that 72% of agents didn't sell any home, 87% of agents get out of the business every 5 years, right? So how much do they really know about the market if they're not selling homes? Yet they will tell their buyer, oh, it's a tough market. You can ask for everything you want. You can ask for closing costs, reduce the price, ask for repairs and improvements, and fries with that too. And you're going to get it because the market's bad in their mind. But it's not necessarily the case, especially if you're facing competing offers. If you price it too high, it's pretty obvious the buyers won't show up. And of course, the sellers want the most, but the buyers also want the most home that they can get in their price range. So if you price it too high for negotiating room, chances are you won't get any offers at all. Or if you do, they're low offers. And that's a clue that you're not priced right. That's why I always try to encourage my sellers to, excuse me, encourage my sellers to price it what I call realistically versus optimistically, because generally that's the way you command the most money. Strategy number 2, both sides kind of need to feel like they won something. So there should be some back and forth, unless you have competing offers. And then you have, as a seller, you have that leverage to go, well, I got 3 other offers and you're number 2. What's your best and highest? You can do that. But if you're, I remember I got an offer last year on one of my listings where she came in below asking price, ask for closing cost and a new roof. And if we don't get what we want, then we're walking away. I'm just trying to provide a win-win offer. And I'm like, that seems like a win-lose offer, but she wanted a new roof solely because the current roof that was on the house was 10 years old. Or sometimes they actually ask for repairs in the actual offer, which in my view is kind of a mistake. But at the end of the day, the sellers should not get offended when they get a low offer. Work with them. They're trying to bring you money. Don't shoot them. Tell them what you will accept at the very least. Try to throw them something. Typically, people are reasonable and they might pick a number in between. And I know that agents are encouraging their buyers to make low offers and ask for concessions and ask for 3% commission, even though they haven't even left their fuzzy bunny slippers and they filled out a 10-minute form fill and they want to make $20,000 to $30,000. I see it all the time. It's very frustrating for the sellers because they're like, wait, what did that agent do? Why should I pay that much? So they don't understand, and I don't blame them. But the best scenario is just to keep communicating, keep loving on them until we can try to put a deal together. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. The one good thing about getting offers is it's a pretty good clue that you're going to get another one. That's the good thing. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about how do you deal with low offers? How do you work with them? And next up, we're going to talk about some other negotiating mistakes. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the host of the program and the owner-proprietor of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. You can reach Barb at 719-301-3900. So Barb, what are some other things that a home seller can do to properly negotiate that home sale?
Well, number one, don't expect a bidding war, but if you get it, it's a happy time. It's a lot of fun. But there's a way to set it up for success like that. And I've done that before, and it's really a blast when we get to do it. But they're becoming less common because the buyers obviously have more choices. There are fewer buyers that can afford it in this higher interest rate environment. The other thing is try not to get too emotional. It is a business transaction. It doesn't matter if the agent hates me or I've had a bad experience with that agent or anything like that. It makes no difference. It's all about the buyer wants the house. We have an obligation to present the offer, and the seller should make a response based on the offer. Now, yes, we've seen agents that will try to talk down the house, which actually seems opposite of what most people think they should be doing. Why are they saying something like it's not worth that much, or it won't be approved for financing, or the insurance is going to be too high? They're trying to give advice to their client, but their client wants the house. They don't do that in car dealerships, do they, Richard? You got somebody that wants a car, they don't try to talk them out of it. It's okay.
We would call that negotiation by insult. Does that work?
It happens. And I think because there is no job description for real estate agents in general, they define their own job and they're thinking, oh, well, if I save my buyer money, get them a discount, get them repairs, get them stuff, then they'll love me for it. Right. And it's not always the case if they are the ones that cause you not to get the house. Also, put up some cameras around your house. You want to hear what they're saying when they come in. I think it's really good intel. And, you pretty much have to expect you're going to be on camera almost everywhere you go in the country these days. So go ahead and put them up. Find out what they're saying. That will at least give you a clue when you do get an offer, because it could be the agent going, oh, yeah, come on, to make a low offer. They'll definitely take it. And how do you know when the price is wrong? It's very simple. If you've had 10 or more buyers go through the home and you're not getting offers or you're not getting a contract, the price is too high. If you've had 10 or more buyers come through the home in the last 2 weeks, no offers, the price is too high. It's simple math and we can help you do it. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 301 3900. We help people all the time figure out how to price their homes so they're positioned to get the most money when they sell. And we also will show up with cash offers as a backup for you. Just call us at 719 301 3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard.
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty. And if you'd like to reach out, the number is 719-301-3900. Or as always, visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing how home sellers are attracting buyers even in today's market. Don't miss that.